Welcome to another edition of Lying on the Beach. I'm Steve Greenberg with,
Lois Whitman-Hess.
and today's episode of Lying on the Beach is powered by the Handle Stick, the must-have phone accessory that adds stylish jewelry and usability to your smartphone. Now, last time, or the time before that, we talked about getting ready for CES 2020. Lois and I went to CES 2020, and now we're back from CES 2020. And so we've got the war stories to share from Vegas. And of course, they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that's not the case with us because we just talk about everything. So Lois, you walk the floor. I walk the floor. Who wants to go first?
Well, I do want to mention
or whatnot.
I do want to mention how big the show was, and you have it down in miles. So I thought you should mention it to let everybody understand that when you're going to CES, you're not going into one building, walking from one end to another, like most other shows do in convention centers. You're visiting a city with, dozens and dozens of buildings, and this thing goes on for miles. Steve, give us the dimension.
Well, the part that's run by CTA, that part is 15 miles of aisles. So that would be the Sands and the convention center. But on top of that, there's stuff at Aria and Hard Rock and the Westgate,
the Wynn, every place.
So all of that is additional mileage that you're not even counting. So it's 15 miles of aisles plus so much more. So it really is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you have to kind of approach it as such. I think I said I did 22,000 steps last time. This time I averaged 17,000. So maybe it just means I'm slowing down.
Are you slowing down?
I hope not, but I did less steps this time. I don't know why. I was there for more days, so maybe when you added it out, it spread it out more. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
So tell everybody why you stayed all 4 days as opposed to we usually stay 3 days and then take the red eye home?
Because, first of all, I have to do a satellite media tour, so I'm up all night. Then I have to shoot a video. So I have like 26 hours of being awake working. So I don't want to fly in that day and do that. I need a day to kind of get myself ready for that. And then afterwards, I need that last day because sometimes I've missed so much stuff I really wanted to see, but I wanted that last day to cap. So I came on Saturday, and I left Friday night on the red eye. So I was there for just about a week. So I left on a Saturday and arrived back home on a Saturday. But let's talk about some of the things we saw.
Wait a minute, before we even get to that, there have been a lot of stories that CES doesn't have as much innovation as it did in the past. And I want to just give my impression of it. First of all, there's all degrees of innovation. Then there's the degrees of absorbing what we innovated and then weeding out the junk. Mark Cuban was interviewed, and a few people sent me this interview, or he was on a stage, I think at Aria, speaking about innovation, and he said, first comes the innovators, then come the imitators, then come the idiots. And a lot of people think like maybe this was the year of the idiots. Or the imitators. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think you could just, even like with medicine and fashion, you could just take things so far. Everything is cyclical. People like fads. They like hopping on the bus with, new ideas, and then they move on to something else. So it's not fair to say that CES wasn't innovative. As far as I'm concerned, I walked around, and then they'll give you a viewpoint. I walked around, and even if I saw a toaster oven with a new feature, people in the tech business are always innovating. So there was a lot of innovation there, but maybe it wasn't as startling as the first time you saw robots or a self-driving car. But trust me, how much can we take in one decade? I felt it was very innovative. There were some wonderful things that we're going to talk about. And Steve, overall, how do you feel about it?
I was actually impressed. There were there were a couple of silly products, but that's natural. But I'd say overall, there was a lot of wow for me personally. I saw some very cool products that definitely piqued my curiosity. And then some of them are are still in the prototype type stage, but I see some real potential there, and a lot of stuff is hanging on 5G. So when we went from 3G to 4G, where we are right now, that's when we got Uber and Lyft because the speed of data transfer was up. Now when we go from 4G to 5G, that big jump, 100 times what we have right now, will mean there'll be so many new products that will come out, new apps, new services, new things that will function in this new environment of 5G, that we should see a real push of innovation. So a lot of the stuff I saw was talking about where that's going. But even saying that, I saw some very cool stuff that was impressive. So you want to go first? You want me to go first? What do you want to do?
Well, first of all, I want you to tell people that are listening in, can you give them a soundbite what 5G is?
It's basically the speed at which data is transferred from your phone carrier to your phone. So whether it's so right now it's 4G is what we are using. A few years ago it was 3G. Right now they're putting in the infrastructure because it takes separate types of towers and all sorts of hardware kind of spotted around the city so that you can get 5G. But that's going to be the next big push. And when it happens, when it launches, it will be really dramatic. In fact, the first 5G iPhone is coming out in September. So that'll be the first iPhone that can really do 5G. And I think Samsung might already have a 5G phone out. So it's on its way, but you may have the phone that can handle it, you just need the signal. So that's being launched in different parts of the country at different times. But it will, once it's really universal, then that'll bring technology bumped up to a whole new level.
That's cool. So you go first, since you did more walking than I did.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are a lot of things to talk about. The one thing that caught my eye, maybe just because of the way it was presented, was neon. It was how do you even describe it? It's artificial humans, not robots. They're digital. They're 2D. They're like on a screen, but they look, sound, act, and they have a very, very, very realistic personality behind them. They have a booth. So you walk in, they're all there. They'll greet you. They interact with you. They have some artificial intelligence, so you can actually have a little conversation with them. And it's creepy, but it's also
What's the name of this company?
Neon, Neon. They're out of Silicon Valley. They weren't selling anything, but they had a ton of people who were looking to buy. I mean, if you could buy stock in them, I would in a minute, because it really is the future. They told me that one TV station approached them about having one of their characters do the news, the overnight news. They'll certainly be what you'll find when you check into a hotel, or when it's going to become a service feature. Whenever you don't need to actually interact with them in a physical way, there'll be a screen that when you walk into your Hilton or your Hyatt or your Marriott, and you'll be asking, checking in, and they'll be getting your information. I think Alexa and Google Assistant will soon have, when you get the news, one of those faces will appear. You'll pick the one you like, and that's who will be reading the news for you. I think.
Why is it so important?
First of all, because it just shows that these graphics have gone to a new level, that you can now program in kind of emotions into the way their eyes twinkle, the way they smile. They look confused. They don't look confused. I mean, basically, the guy said, "Show me confusion. Show me happy." I mean, they can do all that, and it bothers me because I'm afraid that, like, first of all, like, this is very complicated to explain it in a short podcast, but, I want my newscasters to have some integrity, and these characters are excellent at what they do, but do they really have any, they're not really having any emotion. So if, God forbid, there's a plane crash, a real anchor will be talking from the heart about it, whereas these will be acting it, and which bothers me. And then I'm sure, and eventually they'll replace actors. So you'll have, there won't be a Meryl Streep up there. There'll be one of these characters who will be giving you those emotions on the screen.
So some of these characters already become famous.
Well, this company has about 26 characters. One is the reporter. Another one is called the trainer. Another one, they each do different things, the rock star. It's just to show kind of diversity of what they can do. And they're supposedly not based on human actual people. They've taken characteristics of groups of people and put them together into one body type, and it was fascinating. So I think that is at least the one I think could generate the most conversation. Okay, your turn.
I've seen them around, all right, and I saw them at CES, and I could have sworn a few of those characters reminded me of other people that have been in the news in 2018 and 19. I mean, I just thought they were so familiar. Yeah.
They actually have patented them. So they have a trademark and a patent on them so that personality, that look, that one is theirs. So they're not taking it, they say, from anything, and no one can take it from them.
So what if somebody falls in love with one of their people?
Well, you can fall in love with them, but you can take them home, I guess, if you buy the Google, the Google Assistant, if that's who they are. I mean, they're just two-dimensional. You can't, wrap your arms around them. They're just in a screen.
They're on a screen.
They're on a screen, but they look incredible. It looks like video of anybody, of a real person. It doesn't look like a cartoon. It doesn't look like an animation. It looks like a real person.
So when you said they were selling something, what were they selling at the show?
Well, this company isn't selling anything except kind of launching the idea, but the plan is you'll license these characters and use them for a Hilton hotel or a Marriott, or to read your newscast on an overnight TV station, or to give your news. I'm sure Amazon talks to them about maybe making one of them look like Alexa, or you could pick the one that you want to look like Alexa. I mean, I think that's sort of where this will go in the future.
So have they announced any partnerships yet?
That's what I think. They were there to just kind of to put their foot in the water and to see what kind of reaction they got. But from what I could tell, the place was mobbed. So I think they got a very strong reaction. Well,
about 2 years ago, I remember walking into the Miami airport, and there was like something that looked like a cardboard, like a tent with a cardboard or plastic. It was a big, tall piece of plastic bent over, and it was kind of like an easel. And there was a woman talking to us, and I was like, a hologram or whatever those terminologies called for this kind of transition.
I remember it was a projection of this woman who was an actress, not digitally created. She was a real person, and she was projected onto a screen that was cut out the shape. That was cut out the shape of her, and she talked to you. Welcome to the airport, and that was very nice. This is sort of like that, but on another level. So it isn't an actor who's playing the part. It's digitally created, and this one you can interact with it. There's some artificial intelligence behind it, so it's more than just you can say to it, you can program into it. Okay, at this point, I want you to get sad. Now be happy. Now, and it can go through a range of different emotions. It was pretty impressive.
Very interesting.
Changing to another one I liked was Y-Charge. WI-charge. And this was sending power to your devices from a gadget in the ceiling.
Mobile devices you're talking about.
A mobile device, or it could even be a sink in a bathroom. If you don't have an outlet near your sink, but you want an electric sink, this is a way of powering an electric sink. Or you can charge your phone while it's sitting on the couch. Or you can run trains without any wires. That's the example they show there. So it's power that's going through IR, infrared. Another booth did the same thing with RF, which is a radio frequency. So there were two competing companies. The one I kind of focused on was the one that used infrared. And in fact, if you check on my YouTube channel or my Instagram account, you can see a video about it. And it's just a great, I really do think that's the future. This business of plugging in our phones or putting them on a pad or doing things like that, that's going to be history. The future will be you'll just have this device in the ceiling, and it will be powering all the devices in the room.
Power, that's what you're talking about.
Right, wireless power, exactly.
So how far off do they say that this is?
Well, it's available now. They just have to, the things have to be made with the receiver for it. But the receiver is not that big a deal. It's small. And future smartphones will have that in it for sure. You just put your phone down on the test and it'll start charging. So
people want to Google this. So what is the name of the company again?
Y-Charge. WI-CHARGE. Why charge? Why charge?
And very interesting. And they didn't give any pricing or anything yet.
No, and I asked about its efficiency. So it's pretty efficient. I mean, as far as how much power is lost versus how much is actually transferred, it seems like an efficient way. And by the way, it can be attached into a light bulb. You could unscrew a light bulb into it works when the light is on, and that'll be charging things. There's a lot of different ways of so you don't even have to put a thing on the ceiling if you want. You can just replace a bulb. That's over your bed, for example, and it would charge anything up to your next to a bed. It's pretty amazing.
That's unbelievable. The one that I saw that I liked, even though I probably would never buy it, you probably heard about Julia, the Smart Kitchen Hub.
I do remember seeing that, yes.
Okay, so this particular product, what attracted me so much to this product was that unlike all other kitchen products, it really helped you with the prepping, the chopping, the kneading, the stirring, the steaming, but it was so complicated for someone like me who doesn't cook to understand how to use it that I really felt like, oh boy, I wonder if this is going to be something that people, really want to buy. And of course, it's named after Julia Child, which I'm sure they have a license, and it has a built-in camera, and it has all kinds of, AI food recognition capabilities. And I mean, it's very interesting the way they are incorporating artificial intelligence. But to me, they had to I felt like had to dumb it down. Now, did you actually see this product?
I did. I saw it at one of the press events, and it was pretty cool. It's kind of a little big, and it's not inexpensive. But I
think it was like $1,000 if I remember.
Yeah, I think it's about $1,000.
Yeah.
And it has some nice, smooth lines on the outside of it, and it does a lot of things, which is kind of neat. Again, I'm not much in the kitchen, so I'm probably not a great one to judge it, but there were a lot of people very excited about it. I saw that. It's funny, another product that was right near it was a vacuum cleaner, one of those robo vacuum cleaners, and its name was Lucy. So it looks like women's names are kind of taking over the tech world. So they don't sound so techy. They sound like, oh, there's Julia, there's Lucy. Very friendly sounding products. It's maybe a shift in how we brand things moving into the next decade. I don't know.
So do you think those kind of kitchen appliances are going to work well? I mean, do you think that people are going to buy those products?
I think there'll always be a segment of the society that loves to cook, that enjoys cooking, that wants to take it to another level. And these are all things that are linked to your smartphone. The nice thing is you can start it warming up, or it can be actually refrigerating the food, then it can switch to heating up the food, and you can control all that from your smartphone. So while you're picking up your kids or you're still at the office working, you can kind of start the process, and then you can complete it when you get home. So it gives you, you can really customize your food. And also I think it's about, feeling that homemade feeling that has always been desirable in cooking. I mean, I'm so used to talking to a waitress that I'm really a bad example again. But I imagine getting food without talking to a waitress would be amazing. So that's what these products do.
The other thing that I liked very much, because so many people that are seniors have trouble sleeping, it was called Lumis, and it was a light therapy that helped you, get sleepy, then stay asleep. A lot of seniors have trouble. Don't have trouble falling asleep. They have trouble staying asleep, and they wake up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're up for the day. And then during the day, they're very, very tired. So I thought that was a great product. I don't know. I'm anxious to see if it works, but I've asked for a sample of it, and they said they were going to send it to me. So I don't really have too much to say until I actually use the product. What is Steve, do you find a big difference for when you see a product at a show and then you use it, like it becomes a whole other situation?
Well, for me, and I can't say this is true of everybody, but I can't work off of like a press release. A paragraph that's written about a product, until I touch it, pick it up, hold it in my hand, it doesn't feel, the words just aren't enough for me to be sold on something. So once I've seen it, touched it, and then honestly, if I've taken it home and experienced it, then I really know if this is something that I think other people will like. But to just go by a paragraph that someone emails you, that never really works for me. So I feel very committed to reading those paragraphs, picking out the ones I want to see, and then when I get to CES, I make it my mission to try and knock them all down. So I have a big list, and I'm like checking them off as I see them, talk to the people behind them, and I mean that's just kind of how I like to do it. But there's so much good stuff at this show. I mean, I really felt I could have used another day. In fact, on the Friday, they were closing up their booth, and I wanted to I wanted another couple of hours to get through it. So it's so amazing. They build these things, these huge booths. Google actually built a 3-story structure in the parking lot.
Oh, yes, you're going to tell us about that. Oh, that's fabulous.
Just for 3 days. So you can go to the parking lot, and there's this building that's never there. It happened to be there last year, but they knock it down, and they rebuild it again. It's a 3-story building with bathrooms and everything, and it's only used for 3 days. So this one, you went on it, and it was invitation only. I had an invitation. You go in there, and it's sort of like a escape room situation where they're telling you about a problem, and you have to resolve it. You're using Google Assistant to accomplish that, and it's all about selling, how many different things Google Assistant can do. It's not just going to do this, it does this, and gives you recipes and whatnot. So they created a scenario where you need all that information, and you walk through this room, and things are lighting up, and you're talking to the Google Assistant. And there's a voice overhead that at first you think is mechanical, and then you find out is a real person, and she's like saying, Stephen, well, don't lag behind everybody else, catch up. She's talking to the real so a group of 8 of you go through it at a time. Then when you finally finish the whole thing, you can either take the stairs down, or they had this slide that went from the top of the building down into a pool of white balls, plastic balls. So I, of course, did the slide, and it was really fun. First, it's a fun slide. While you're going down the slide, they videotape you. Each slide has a different color, and then when you land, you're in this sea of balls, which is very hard to kind of make, just even standing up, and you feel like you're in a Lucy episode. And then when you finally get yourself out of there and get your bearings out, then there are 4 people from Google that each are in a different color, and you go to the one of the slides you're on, and they sync to your phone the video clip of you going down the slide.
Oh, so you actually have that?
Of course I have that.
Oh, we have to show that.
And
that's
I did
great.
it twice, so I have it twice.
Oh,
and
that's great.
Pictures of me floating around in those all of those Google balls afterwards. So it was a very cute, and it was, I have to admit, it was fun. I mean, I can't deny that. We should talk about the 2 silly products that were at the show. Do you have time for that?
Yes, but before we do the silly products, I do want to mention that, again, we're being sponsored by Handle. Handle's new stick, and I just want to briefly tell people what this is about. Handle, which is a phone case manufacturer, and they were very well known in the press and in sales for the last few years, really went innovative this year. They made a stick. It's a stick-on stick that goes to either your phone case or the phone, the cell phone, the smartphone, without a case, and it just sticks on the back, and it becomes a stand. And you could then watch videos horizontally or vertically, or you call it landscape and portrait. And it really is much better than Pop Socket, because you could actually, when it folds, you can put it right in your pocket. I've been using it now for a week, and I find it to be absolutely fabulous, because I have this extension of my hand on the back of my smartphone, my iPhone, and I could slip it in my pocket without any depth and problem at all. And it just seems, for some reason, easier to hold and pull out of my pocket, and to actually, it's very, very user-friendly, and it's brilliant. And apparently they had a great CES, and I hope we get to do more business with them. And by the way, it's only from...
left out?
Yeah, the price, right?
Well, two things are left out. So First of all, it comes in 53 different looks. So it's like really jewelry for your phone. It's like they've got some very pretty stuff, and then some very, both masculine and feminine, but some that has some sort of an opaque quality to it, and it changes translucency quality to it. There's 53 different looks to it, which I think it's really what makes it a piece of art almost. And the other thing is, it's really inexpensive. It goes from like $9.99 to $19.99, so it's not an expensive buy, and it does make your phone more usable. It's easier to hold. So, and by the way, they were at CES. They had a beautiful booth at CES. So they certainly fit this theme of this show for sure. Really, really impressive little gadget to add to your phone.
And the pricing
really
has really to do with the material that's used on the phone. Either it's, plastic, to something that's really jeweled. So it's beautiful. And I've been using it, and everyone's been stopping me and saying, what is that on the end of your phone? Because they're tired of anything that's really thick. And this really is flat against your phone. It's great.
If people go to handlenewyork.com, they can get more information. And Handle spelled HANDL, New York, spelled out NEWYORK.com, and they can see what we're talking about.
Okay, let's go to the jokes.
Okay, well, there are two silly ones. One I found, and the other one was really well promoted. So the well promoted one was from Charmin, part of Procter & Gamble, and they had actually 3 silly bathroom technologies that they were very clear. When you got there, they had their people in white coats, and they made it very, this very faux silliness, both serious, but it's being silly. So one was a smell detector, so when it lets you know when the bathroom is clear and not clear because it was sensing any odors from the bathroom. The other one let you watch the game while you're in the bathroom. It was just basically a remote thing that's attached to the door. And the third one was called the Rollbot, and it was a little robot that brought you an extra roll of toilet paper if you needed it. So all 3 are obviously concept technologies. Are not ready for prime time yet, but the robot was very cute. I shot a video of them. It's on the YouTube channel and on my Instagram account, and it was very cute and got a ton of attention. And then the second one.
Wait, before you get to that, do you think one of these 3 items are going to make it to the marketplace?
No, I don't think they even intend it. I think it's done purely for the gag of getting some free press, and not some earned press. They just want to get a lot of folks to hear about it and talk about Charmin like we're doing right now. And that was the goal. It's a smart goal, by the way. I also think like Delta had a very impressive booth there, and they're the first airline to have a booth at CES. And I think half the reason they did it is just so people say, hey, the first time an airline's ever been at CES, Delta was there. And it's just, I think, more about press than it is about anything innovative.
Well, I think a lot of these companies, the car companies that were there, and airlines, they're all talking about artificial intelligence, and they want to show that they are absolutely progressive in the world of tech, and that's why they were at CES.
Yeah, no, I think it's also to prove you're on the cutting edge. You have a booth there, and I felt like for Delta, it was a very cool looking booth, and I think it really. I'm sure the other airlines are thinking, we better be there next year. So maybe we'll see another airline coming up there at CES 2021. Then the other silly product is one I found in Eureka Park, which, as Lois can tell you, it's where the most cutting edge stuff is. It's the real garage inventors, the mom and pop inventors. It's a small booth. There's zillions of them, all in the sands in this one area called Eureka Park. And deep in the bowels of Eureka Park, I saw a guy with a potato who claimed he had a smart potato. So, of course, I was intrigued. And what it is a antenna you stick into the potato, and then he says you tap into the potato's brain power. Of course, I knew potatoes had eyes, but I didn't know they had brains. And so he then took out an app on his phone, and you could ask the phone questions, and the phone would communicate with the potato and give you an answer. So if I asked, should I get an iPhone 11, it came back, not at this time. And all answers, sometimes there was a yes, sometimes there was no, or sometimes there was let's consider that for another time, or something like that. It was very much like the Magic 8 Ball of times gone by, which I'm sure Lois remembers, maybe some of our listeners remember. You shake the 8 ball upside down, and it answered your questions. This is the same thing, only with a potato. Again, very serious guys behind it, $29 for the antenna and I guess the app. But from what I could tell, they were there just for the gag of it. I don't think they really were even selling the app or the antennas. I think they were there just to get attention.
So they spent $5,000 for some of to get attention.
That's what I can't understand. I can't believe they bought a booth to do this. Because and maybe I know that I saw it, and Forbes magazine saw it, and several others saw it. So they're getting some attention. But if that's their goal, I guess that was the goal, mission accomplished. But I don't know what their plan was. But it is kind of a cute idea. I mean, look how well the Magic 8 Ball did. So maybe this is the Magic 8 Ball for the digital generation. Who knows?
Oh, the other one I did want to mention, which for some reason, I'm not even a cook, but I thought the timing was terrific. LG, as you remember, had a refrigerator with, you have your refrigerator, you have your freezer, and they had a third section, and it was basically a farm where you could grow herbs and other, vegetables or herb type of products so that it becomes more farm to table. And I think a lot of the younger people are going to like something like that. If it works well and it tastes well and it is healthy, I think there's a market for it. I don't know exactly when they're planning to have this on the market, but you must have seen that, right, Steve?
Oh, I did. And it was a very popular new item. Again, I don't know if it's ready for prime time yet. It may still just be kind of in the concept stage, but that's something they really do want to roll out, I can tell. And I always think about space. You're living in an apartment. Your refrigerator takes up a lot of space. Do you want to lose some of that space for this? Because it was no bigger than a regular refrigerator. So it makes me wonder, are we willing to give up our
so you give away
stores?
your ice cream, your candy, your carbs, your sugar, and you have an herb grower there. I thought it looked gorgeous. I mean, I think that a lot of people are going to be doing a lot of farming in the future, very organic eating, and it could be a possibility. You see all the organic restaurants that are coming up. You could do that at home. There might be a future for it, or they'll come up with another configuration. Maybe they'll put it on the top of the refrigerator, or maybe it'll be a separate product. But I think when we used to see these things in the past, it was like, futuristic. For some reason, when I saw it now, I said to myself, isn't it interesting? The timing of this thing could be for real. So we'll have to look into that to see if that kind of a product really develops into, a real product that they have at retail.
We'll know next year at CES 2021 what worked and what didn't work. You'll get a good indication by what's back and what's not back. So
we both agree that this show had a lot of new products that captivated the press.
Absolutely. Right. I would argue with anyone. If they didn't see innovative stuff, then they weren't looking hard enough. That's all.
Right.
I think it was really cool stuff. The Mercedes-Benz of the future, amazing looking. That's all I can tell you. Go Google it. I actually have it on I shot a little bit of it as well. Check it out. It's very cool.
Definitely send me the video. I think we should put that out when we do our mailings. That's great.
Okay. Sounds
okay, Steve. You are a wealth of information.
And you as well.
Wait, excuse me. In addition to lying on the beach, Steve Greenberg is the Innovation Insider, and now you know why.
That's right. I try to be as innovative as possible. And I have a brand new YouTube channel named Steve Greenberg. It's so awesome today, believe it or not, because my other one had some tech issues. So I'm a newbie in YouTube now, so check that out, as well as my Instagram account, which is also Steve Greenberg. So it's
just Steve Greenberg. We just have to put that on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram,
the only thing I'm
Twitter,
not Steve Greenberg
and
on,
Facebook.
Twitter, I'm Steve TV, and Facebook, I'm Steve TV. But all the other platforms, I'm Steve Greenberg. So you can help me down that way.
Make it all the same thing one day in the future.
Okay. So let's thank Handlestick one more time. Thank you, Handlestick, for powering this edition of Lying on the Beach. And once again, I'm Steve Greenberg with
Lois Whitman-Hess.
And we have been Lying on the Beach. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.